The CNCF continues to grow with new projects coming in. The most recent sandbox project to join the CNCF is called Perses. And what is it? It's a dashboard tool to visualize observability data from Prometheus, Thanos, and Jaeger. Perses aims to tackle multiple goals: to become a standard dashboard visualization tool for Prometheus and other data sources, kind of coining this term dashboard as code. Perses offers configuration validation, API access for integration, and is also easy to use. Despite its youth as a project, major companies like Amadeus, Red Hat, and Chronosphere have adopted it. Perses can consume metrics data from storage systems, such as Prometheus, with plans to enhance its plugin system, introduce Knative integration, and add features like an Explorer and Alert view for improved functionality. To know more about this project, in this episode of The Landscape, my co-host Sylvain Kalash and I got a chance to speak to Eric Schabell, who is a Perses maintainer and a CNCF ambassador. Let's take a look at the episode. So, Eric, welcome to The Landscape. Congrats on all the exciting stuff happening with Perses. It's really a great opportunity for us here in the podcast to speak to someone who's working on something that's, just getting into the ecosystem. So that being said, for people that don't know Perses, what problem does it solve?
What problem does it solve? Okay, that's a really good question. One of the very first things that's kind of cool to see and what they put at the top of the list right from the beginning was that there is no dashboard and visualization project within the whole CNCF landscape. So big miss, right? And kind of what triggered this whole project was a desire to have that kind of choice, to have some kind of open standard, fully open source, unlike some of the other options out there that changed that not too long ago and made it a little bit interesting to start looking around. And the first commit for this was back in 2021, and there was several rather large companies that pushed it in the beginning and put together something that gives you a standard dashboard definition, trying to become a standard for the dashboard definitions, like a data model for that kind of configuration. Having the tooling around that to do dashboard as a code and be fully focused on being a Kubernetes-native solution. So think operators, CRDs, things like that to make it easy to use right alongside whatever applications you're trying to, visualize. And so there's a really big focus on the GitOps kind of a style of working, dashboard as a code and a new definition, just what we need. And so all that kind of stuff. And I got kind of sucked into it working for an observability company that had started investing in this project and sharing what they were building. And I found it super interesting, put together a workshop, how to get started with it. And, it's a great learning curve. It is very early days. So, it was even, much earlier when I got started. So it was very simplistic at the time. There wasn't even a visualized dashboard building ability. It was all actually code, actually configuration files, YAML and stuff. So there's been several iterations of my workshop to get something visual up now. But that's kind of where it's at.
Cool. And among this project, if you had to pick one feature, which one would be? What's your favorite one?
What's my favorite feature? There's a couple of things that are nice, so it's not really fair just to say one. They have making a dashboard as a code means you need to run it through CI/CD and have automated checking on what your configurations are and the changes you make so you don't break stuff. They have a command line tool called basically PER, Perses CLI. This thing can be used to validate what you've created, what you've changed, what you're making before you get out there and find out it's broken. I really like that. I like it that there's API access in the sense of integrating this stuff into your own, validation frameworks and things that you're doing inside your own architectures. And I just like how easy it is to get started with it. It's really fun to be there at the beginning of something and watch it kind of evolve. And, everybody knows what dashboard and visualization is. And if you get in the CNCF, what do you call it? Not infrastructure, but community, everything is focused on the standardization of protocols like OpenTelemetry protocols or PromQL as a query language for the storage in Prometheus, and when you see that kind of stuff and see a tool coming along that's integrating more of that and making that more standardized in an environment, cloud native observability, where there's a lot of disparity in how, very specific proprietary, ways of storing metrics, ways of querying metrics, ways of dealing with traces, logs, all this kind of stuff. It's kind of neat to see it coalescing slowly but surely. And we feel like personally, I've been around quite a long time in the open source environments, more on the app dev side and in the Linux Foundation and that kind of stuff, the JBoss world, it seems like it's gone really far down the road. And it feels like the CNCF is going through a lot of that now, where they're starting to consolidate all the, over time, all these different protocols and standardizations that makes life a whole lot easier for us architects out there trying to solve, infrastructure problems, observability problems, and really big, complicated, expensive environments. I know I'm kind of rat holing on it, but there you go. That's the answer.
Yeah, and in terms of, if we want to jump on the making our life easier, making everything as code has been making our life easier. And you use the term dashboard as code. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, is the project bringing something new here to the industry?
I wouldn't say that it's something new. I think it's continuing to have that GitOps focus, right? So everybody, no matter whether you're on the infrastructure side, the observability side, the app dev side, the DevOps side, where you're doing a little bit of all of it and you own it. We love to have stuff that can be automated, right? So you don't want to have to push code and then go over there and push more buttons and double check stuff, run tests and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's automated that anyway. So adding a new component into your architecture or into your solution or into your development testing environment, wherever you choose to use it, it's pretty nice that you can integrate it into your CI/CD, into your DevOps processes, into your GitOps processes, and have that all integrate nice and seamlessly with your cloud native Kubernetes environments. So that's basically what you're talking about with dashboard as a code, kind of being able to not have to do it all visually, click and point if you do not wish to, right?
Although Perses is quite a young project, what are some of the organizations, the success stories of this project being implemented? Could you share some of them?
I can share a little bit around what my company's done with it, which was involved early together with, developers. And I mean, I'm just talking we're developers, we have day jobs. We were, either allowed, or however you want to look at that, working at a day job and then working on an open source project on the side in some form or integrated into your daily work. There's quite a few contributors working for Amadeus that are involved with this. There's people from Red Hat that are involved with this, and the OpenShift teams I know of. And, Chronosphere and stuff was heavily involved in the beginning. So you will find a lot of Perses look and feel, so to speak, embedded in the Chronosphere product. You will also, internally we call those native dashboards to get a distinction between other vendors and things like that. So things that are native or things that are Perses based in some form. The OpenShift stuff, I used to work at Red Hat for a really long time. I don't have the ability to actually speak for them and stuff, but I will be speaking in a couple of weeks at PromCon EU about this project and about what's going on in that space as related to working and showing how to work together with my workshop with Prometheus to get started. And I'm reaching out and working with some of the OpenShift developers that are working on integrating Perses for tracing data. So a rather new functionality in there that they've been working on and contributing. And so I'm going to have some examples when I get there, and I'll have more details exactly what it is. And they want me to share the release timeline a little bit of what they're going to be doing with that around OpenShift. So I do know that Red Hat has, this stuff is at least planned to, or it's already in OpenShift. And what Amadeus is doing, I can also not speak for, of course. I would assume that they're using it for some kind of dashboard visualization inside their organization somewhere. I don't think it's in there. This is not something you'll find in an end user tool very often. This is, it's an observability tool. It's meant to help you keep an eye on what the customers are using in some form or another. Big answer. Small question. I keep doing that, don't I?
No, it's
That's
fine.
not a bad thing. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like successful organization did that with it. So it sounds like the project is doing something right. So it's all about consuming data. So can you tell us a little bit about what type of data can the tool consume?
Yeah, so the baseline is having some kind of storage backend for your observability data, whether you're collecting traces or whether you're collecting logs or whether you're collecting metrics in some form or events. Being such early days, the initial focus was metrics, of course, and they chose to align with a CNCF project called Prometheus. That's a backend storage used by, for example, OTel or by, Fluent Bid or whatever you want to push and have some kind of backend storage. Prometheus is one of the options. So they focused on that, and that includes supporting the standard query language that's involved there, and that's the Prometheus query language, PromQL. So you'll see a lot of that in the workshop that I put together, where it shows you, create this, create that, and it's using queries to actual hosted Prom instances that are storing all this various data. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be sharing some screenshots and stuff of what they've been doing with it in OpenShift. I don't have the exact details yet, but I've seen some of them already, and there's, scatter plot charts, they call them, I think, for, when you see those trace balls where they collect all the scatter plots of where the traces are at. There's also a trace log and all that kind of stuff in there. So there's definitely the ability to visualize tracing data. So think microservices as you make your calls through Kubernetes, and, what's that look like, and where's the delays and that kind of stuff. That's kind of the usage pattern there. I've yet to see anything around logs. I'm pretty sure that's not really supported yet, but, it's very early days. The version they just released is 0.47.1. So hang in there. They've come a long ways, and there's a reason it's just applied for sandbox status, and that's the first step down a long road, right? And I think it's worth noting it's pretty exciting because I worked together with Augustin probably end of last year when we were at PromCon, and we put together all the bits and pieces to what it looks like to submit to the thing, because I'm a CNCF ambassador. I thought maybe I could put my name on it and help them out and kind of see where that goes. And they submitted in March of this year. There's quite a backlog of projects trying to get in, so there's you got to wait for your turn in the pile to get evaluated. And 2 weeks ago, they opened it up and said, "Oh, we're going to start evaluating this." So they opened like a 3-month window to vote on it, and the voting is just going to GitHub and hitting a thumbs up. And if you're one of the voting members, that's important. That's tracked, and once you get over, I think 70 or 75%, it's in valid. You win and you're in, and it's a sandbox project. And so we did a call out around and stuff to see if people would show their support, whether they're a voting member or not. And I think within 48 hours, we had more than 100 thumbs up, and which is pretty crazy, right, for a small little project. And I wasn't even paying attention because I went on 2 weeks of vacation. I come back and it's already over 70%. So it's through. That's a hot take. That's like a reveal because it hasn't been announced yet. Yeah. No, but it's public information on the thing there. So, but that's really nice, and that's super quick. I don't know what the standard process is for that, but that feels really quick for me, for a process like that. So, definitely going to be interesting. So next time you go to a KubeCon, keep your eyes open for one of those small booths. You might see us standing there going, "Hey, look at Perses. Come look at our stuff."
Certainly hope so. And from my experience, yeah, in terms of growth, from everything that I have seen, this is quite quick. So the response has been good. While we've been talking about a lot of the benefits, we've seen the adoption, some large scale organizations that are, already getting significant benefits from it. When would you say Perses is not the answer? When would you say that, you should probably look elsewhere for the problem that you're trying to solve?
Well, a really easy one is if you can't query your specific vendor proprietary data that you're, using already. Other than that, it's pretty much, take a look at and kind of evaluate it. And I think that a really easy way to do that is to walk through that workshop I mentioned that I think you guys are going to put in the show notes. It's pretty straightforward, gives you an idea of what it does. It's the basics. It's not super complicated or anything, but you can get a feel for how the various tooling pieces work. So then when you get to the point that, you want to try and validate your dashboards or see if you can do what you want to do, then you can use that tooling to your advantage and get and take a look at it. So it's kind of hard because it's such a, young project. It's only a sandbox. It's not graduated. It's not full-fledged, not even 1.0. So it's, if it's missing pieces you need, then yeah, that's going to be a problem. How about contributing them?
Always nice. Like you said, don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. Use it as an opportunity to get involved. I like that. In terms of, once again, relatively, nascent community, getting this moving, are there any shout outs that you like to give for, folks that are very involved in the project?
I think it's kind of fun to like mention the top 2 or 3. And this is just by doing a Git short log and seeing who's committed the most, right? Right now, to be honest, a shout out is deserved by Amadeus for letting their developers work on it. They're pushing pretty hard right now. They're probably the most active, I think, together with Red Hat. The top 3 are Stephen Cobb, who did this while working at the Chronosphere, Augustin Husson, if I speak his last name out correctly, who is working for Amadeus, and there's also Julie Pagano, maybe. I'm not sure exactly how to say her last name, but she was also one of the Chronosphere committers at the time. I don't know how active all of them are anymore or that kind of stuff. I don't really follow each commit that closely, to be honest. But we all do what we can when we can, and see a way to help. And it's a really friendly bunch of people, and they hang out on I think I gave you guys that too, didn't I? If not, we can put that in the speaker notes or the notes thing. But they're on Element as like a chat browser thing where they hang out on Perses-dev, and they're all super nice to help out any questions you got or whatever's going on. So good bunch of guys and girls that are over there doing that stuff.
It's great. Like you said, I think it's a nice reminder that these projects don't get to the point that they're at, out of nowhere. It, no contribution is too small. It really, really does, take that collective effort. Now, for you, what are the, so we mentioned the workshop, but if we're thinking about the roadmap, we're thinking about the next steps. What's the project roadmap that you're excited about? What can we expect next in the Perses world?
It's kind of funny because the roadmap is really kind of generic right now. They have big focus areas. So when you go over there, and I think I gave you guys that link too, they would like to retackle the plugin system. So they did up till now they've had a plugin system for doing what they want to do, and it's not exactly, I don't want to say scaling, but they're already seeing that this isn't the way they want to do it, right? So they basically want to revamp that thing. It's not an active push yet, but it's definitely on the roadmap. Continuing to provide the Knative integration is a big one. And I know they're talking about an Explorer feature, which would be something along the lines of what you find in Prometheus. So, I mean, it's not like new technology or anything, but being able to, command line complete and explore and search for metrics and trace, data and things like that would be really nice in your query tool. There's lots of options of how they could do that, but they're interested in doing that and working on that right now. And they've linked this in the roadmap with issue topics where they discuss it, so you can go see what they're talking about, make suggestions if you want to or not. And I know they also want to do something about creating an alert view in the Perses application, but that's not something that's even been started yet. So that's definitely way down the road in the roadmap. But I mean, in my experience, most roadmaps are a little bit more detailed than this, right? So it's really broad sweeping kind of focus areas that they have. And last time I looked, I think they have around 100 open issues or something like that, tagging discussions and things like that. So it's not insurmountable to go browse through that stuff if you're interested in helping out or looking at some stuff. And their contribution guide is really straightforward. It's not very hard to contribute stuff. And people, even if you don't do it correctly the first time, they're really happy to help you sort out how to do it and stuff like that.
Nice. Lot to do. And you just spoke about the contribution guide. So if some of our listeners want to contribute, like what's the best way to get started? Are there specific areas where you need help or a specific channel that they should join?
Yeah, so it's basically already set up like a CNCF project. There's certain formats and things you have to apply for the sandbox stuff. That includes, a roadmap, includes a contribution guide, and the contributing guide in there is basically how to get started and what to do when you want to push some kind of change or help. If you're not super technical yet or a little bit intimidated by a project that's, pretty deep on some of this kind of stuff, you might think, ooh, this is like me. I'm not a big observability hardcore, down in the weeds coding for a dashboard app. So my contribution started in the, using user documentation. How do I get started with this stuff? How do I, a lot of engineers that get deep down into their specific problems in open source only want to do that. And so their documentation might be about the API, but that really doesn't help you as a user. Like, what's that mean? Give me an example of how to use the API to create a thing. And so I went through and pushed some changes around that kind of stuff that they took gladly into the documentation. And I think the docs can always be better. So that's a really straightforward. Go through my workshop, use it, see what you think of the project and things you are missing in the documentation. Start adding them. That's the easiest way to get started.
And last but not least, Eric, we do see a lot of baseball hats behind you. I can take a guess as to what you do in your free time when you're not working on open source projects, but perhaps there's something else. But tell us about your baseball experience, if there's anything else that you're interested in.
My baseball experiences. Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
Yeah, we'll do a 2-minute summary.
Okay. Yeah. So from what you see behind me here and stuff, this is a hobby project that started in probably 2013. I wrote for the Boston Red Sox as like an amateur journalist on redsoxlife.com. I've stopped now for a couple of years in doing that. A little bit too much time is taken up by my day job and my Perses stuff and my other open source stuff. I really don't have a lot of time for that anymore, but I spent years and years doing that. We talked about it before the show. In 2013, when I first signed up, I did the whole 2013 season when they won the World Series. And most of the hats, you don't even see half the hats back there, but I wrote, I think, an article every day during spring training and then all the 162 games of the season and all the postseason games. So it was quite a year, and you get to know everybody really well. And if you look really close, half these hats have been signed by one of the players or somebody in the organization that I was chatting with while I was in Boston at the stadium there at Fenway. And really nice people. It was a nice time. And yeah, I just like baseball. That's my, I grew up playing it and played it until I was well into my 30s. So.
Very good.
Don't expect that from a nerd, right?
No, you do and you don't, but I think it's refreshing, to see this is my first time meeting someone, a Dutch baseball player. Sylvain is French living in the United States and is full of interesting talents as well. But I think it's nice to meet the person, behind just the, open source contributions. So we get to know them a little bit better and see what kind of things we might share in common. That being said, Eric, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for sharing all the exciting stuff that's going on in this young project. It's very clear about how people can get involved. I think if there's, the freshness, the excitement of something being done relatively early on is promising. Look forward to seeing a booth in whatever capacity, whether it's in Salt Lake City and KubeCon or perhaps next year in London. And I hope our cross paths, whether it's in Spain, Netherlands, US, doesn't matter. It'll be really nice to hang out with you in person.
Sure. Buy me a beer.
You got it. All right. Take care. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.